So let's see the GUI that we have added so far. Run the program, and this is how it is looking like. It looks a bit cluttered. So what we will do is we will add some padding above, bottom, left and right. So pad X and pad Y, we will add them so that it looks not so much cluttered. Okay. So let's add the padding. Increase it to 50. Now let's run it. It looks a bit better. With the padding, the space has increased, white space has increased. Okay. Now if you observe it, when we start the program, it is always better to have the cursor pointing at some entry. So let's try to have the cursor to start in this entry, website entry, so that it looks good when we start the program, instead of user taking the cursor over there. If we directly focus there, it will be better. So let's use focus to the email to the website entry. Website entry dot focus. Now by writing this, cursor will automatically come there. Let's run the program and show it. Now you can see that cursor is blinking here. So cursor is in the website entry, right? Okay. And also in the email, generally when we try to register for a website, we always use the same email ID, but the password will change, right? So for that reason, it will be better if you auto-populate this email to be having your email ID always there instead of typing it every time. Okay. So we will try to auto-populate the email ID by using insert. So the email entry dot insert, we are inserting. So insert is a method available on the entry. So you have to read the documentation to understand it. It is going to take two parameters. One is where do you want to start it? Where do you want to start entering the message, and what is the message that you want to enter there? So I'm just giving some random email ID. Now this email ID will be shown every time when you run the program, directly auto populated. You don't have to enter it every time. Okay. Now we want to save the website and the email ID and the password to a file. So in order to do that, we are going to open a file and we are going to open it in the append mode, and we are going to add all this information to the file, save the information to the file. So we are going to create a new method and we are going to attach it. So whenever user has clicked on the button add, there is add button, right? Whenever he clicks on the button add, we want this method to be called save. So that is how we have linked it. Command is used to link a some method to the button. Now we will write the method save. And we are going to open the file with as, using with as keyword, so that you don't have to close it. So whenever you open a file in append mode or in write mode, if the file doesn't exist, it is going to create the file. So we are calling it as data file. Now inside the data file, we want to write the information. So let's try to get the information from the entries using get. So what is the website that user has entered, that you can get using website entry.get, and what is the email that the user has entered, that you can get using email entry.get, and what is the password that the user has entered. So password entry.get. Now once we have got all this information, we want to save it into this file. So we are going to create an F string. We are going to write it into the data file. We are going to say write, and we are going to put this entire information there. The website information followed by a pipe, followed by the email ID, pipe, followed by the password. Now it will get automatically written. So whatever information you have collected from the user, the entire information will get written into the file. Let's try to run it and see. Let's give some website, Amazon, and let's give some password, and let's give add. Now a new file got created which is called data.txt, and you can see that it is all there, but there is a small problem. We have the information written onto the file. Now let's try to add one more website information. Now let's open the file and see it. Have you clicked on that? Close it and open. Yeah. So now if you observe it, the next website information is also printed in the same line in the file. We don't want that. We want every website to be separate. Okay. So for that, what we need is we are going to add new line. Delete the file. Delete the data file. We will create it again. Now we are going to add new line to the end. Now when we add new line, then every time when you enter new information, that will be in the new line. Okay. So let's try to create it. And one more thing, if you have noticed, after I have entered some details, the information is still remaining there. It is not getting cleared up. What I mean to say is I will show you. Add it. Have you added? Okay. So now once we add, all this information should be deleted so that user will be ready with the next ad, right? But the problem is it is not getting deleted. We will handle that as well. Now we have added two entries. Now let's open the data.txt. It will get created. Data.txt is supposed to get created. It is taking time, I guess. Yeah, we got it. So we have got all the three website informations to be in the different rows or different lines. So this is what we wanted. But the problem is after we add the information to the file, we want all the entries to be cleared up, especially the website entry and the password entry to be cleared up. So we will write the code for it. Once we add the information, we want the website entry to be deleted. So there is a method called delete, which will delete the end, whatever you have typed in there. And we are going to delete it from 0 index till the end. So this end is a constant in tkinter. Similarly, we will delete the password information. Okay, now let's see. Let's run it. Now once you type something, some website and password, and once you add, it got deleted so that you are ready with the next thing. But there is a small problem here. See, when you have added some information and you have added it to the file and the information is getting disappeared, it does not look good if I do like this. What I want is, whenever we have added some information, before adding it to the file, we want to take confirmation from the user. We want to show what information he has added in a dialog box, and in the dialog box, in the message box, we want to show some message, and in the message we want to take the confirmation from the user, and once he says okay, then only we want to add it. Otherwise it doesn't look good. It is just disappearing and it is getting added and no confirmation, the user is not getting any confirmation. So we will add message box in the next video. Okay, thank you. Hi. Now let's try to add message boxes, which are pop-ups basically. They are called message boxes in TK Enter. We want something to pop up whenever user adds the details. Whenever he clicks on add, we want a pop-up, and that is called message box in TK Enter. So let's try to add that. Let's try to import message box. See, from TK Enter we have imported everything, but still it will import only classes and constants. And message box is a separate module, or I can say it is a sub module. So you have to import that sub module from TK Enter before you use it. And it is a separate file actually. If you see the implementation of it, it is a messagebox.py, which is a separate file. So you have to import that message box. Message box is also a part of TK Enter. So from TK Enter we are importing message box. And you can see the documentation of TK Enter to understand what message box is, what are the methods available on it, what are the different types of message boxes available. You have to see the documentation. So we are going to show something initially. It is just a dummy message box. So whenever user adds something, we are simply showing some message. Okay. Just to show you how it works. Now if I click on add. So a message box is popped up, and this message box is nothing, it is saying just title and then message. So let's try to modify it. What we want is, we want the user data, whatever user has entered, we want that to be shown in the pop-up, and we want to ask the user, is it okay to add this information? So if you see ask, in the message box, there are different types of message boxes. Ask okay, cancel, ask yes or no, ask a question, ask retry, cancel, ask yes, no, cancel. So like this, there are different message boxes present. You can read the documentation, you'll understand it. Now we are taking ask okay, cancel. It will have okay and cancel buttons. And to the title of the message box, we are putting the website name that the user has entered. And inside the message, we are creating a string, and we are going to display the information, the email ID and the user and the password that the user has entered. So we are going to say, these are the entered email IDs and password, entered email ID and password. Email, we will show the email, and password, we will show the password. Go to the next slide. So whatever user has entered, we are showing him that by using the message box of type ask okay and ask okay, cancel. Is it okay to enter? Is it okay to add or something we can? Is it okay to save? Now if I run it, whenever I try to add something, it is showing these are the entered email ID. So email ID and password. Password is not entered yet. That is why it is showing blank, which is actually a bug. We don't want, whenever user has not entered anything in these boxes, we want one more dialog box to show that you have to enter something. But for now, add something and show it. So whenever we have added something, then it is showing these are entered, email ID is something and password is something. Is it okay to save? Let's say okay. then only we want it to be saved, right? So now we have to know whether the user has inputted entry G OK or cancel. So for that we are going to find the return value of this message box, which is a boolean variable. So if the user has typed OK, then the boolean value returned by this message box will be true. Otherwise, it will be false. Only if it is true, we will add the information to the file. So we will use a if. So if is OK is true, then only we are going to add it to the file. Otherwise, we are not going to add. If it fails, we are not going to add anything. Got it? So this is the message that got popped up. If it is OK, if I click on OK, then only it will be saved. Otherwise, it will not be saved. If I can click on cancel, it will not be saved. So now there is a problem here. When the user leaves the password as blank or website as blank, still it is going to accept it, but we should not accept it. We have to show user that it is invalid and we have to enter some values, right? So for that we will use one more message box and see and check whether the user has entered something or not. If the website length is 0 or the password length is 0, then we have to show a new message box showing that you have to enter the valid entries. If the website is 0 or password is 0, then we are going to show info. So this is a different message block. It will only show the information. So title is oops, something has gone wrong. So that is why we are writing oops. And the message is please enter valid address. So if this condition is true, if anything is 0, then we should not add anything to the file. That is why we are going to have if and else. In the else part, we are going to put everything. The entire code that we have written is going to be in the else part. Please make sure you have not left any fields empty. So this part, if the user has entered everything right, then only it should go to the next part. So let's run it and see. Let's now run it. Let's keep it as empty and do add. Then you are going to get keep it as empty and type add. Please make sure you have not left any fields empty is the message that got displayed. Okay. Now if I enter some details. Now if I click on add, then it is asking whether you want to add this information. So let us say OK. Now let's open the data file and see. So it got added. Okay. So this is how you can actually use the message boxes to give the messages to the information to the user. These are just pop-ups. The pop-ups which are of different types. Okay, so you read the documentation, you'll understand about what are the different types of message boxes available in Tkinter, and depending on your project, you can use the appropriate one. Okay, so thank you. Hi, so many classes ago we have done this program of generating password. I'm showing you that program. If you remember, we have letters, numbers and symbols, and we are taking from user as input how many letters, symbols and numbers he wants in the password, and we are generating the password accordingly. Now we want to use this code in order to generate the password in the GUI program. But then in the GUI program, we don't want to take the input from the user from the command line. So there are two options that you can look at. One is in the in the GUI whatever you have created, you can add some extra entries in order to read how many letters, how many numbers, how many symbols that user wants. Or second thing is just to simplify the things. What you can do is instead of taking these numbers from the user, you can generate some random numbers and you can generate those many number of letters, symbols, and numbers. So it is up to you. If you want to do it in the GUI by creating more entries, you can create. What I'm trying to do here is I will take random numbers instead of taking the input from the user. Okay. So I will use random. I will guess a number between 8 to 10 for the number of letters, and those many letters we will generate. And similarly, symbols I will take 2 to 4 and numbers I will take 2 to 4. Some random number I am taking and every time I am going to use it. Now the program works. Program will work the same way. If I run the program, password is generated without any problem. New password is generated. Now we will use this same program inside our GUI program of password manager. Okay. So we will copy paste the code. We will copy paste the entire code. And we will put it in a method, inside a method. Okay. We will write a new method, and whenever the generate password is clicked, this method will be called. One change we have to do, instead of printing the password, we want to show that password in the password entry. Now we will tie this method to the button by using command. This generate password button is there, right? So for that we are going to tie that method, generate password, and in the generate password it is printing the password onto the screen. We will change it. So here your password it is printing, right? We don't want it to be printed. We want it to appear on the entry, that password entry. So we will delete that line. And inside the password entry, we want to insert it. So whenever generate password is called, it will automatically get inserted. Okay. Now if I run the program, if I click on generate password, a password is generated and it is inside this entry. Okay. Now if I click on add, it will get added. Okay. Now what I want one more functionality to be added is, so whenever you are creating or whenever you are trying to log in onto a website or sign up onto a website, you need a new password. Now the new password is generated, but I don't want you to actually copy and paste it. I want it to be automatically copied into the clipboard. For that there is a package. So we want the password to be automatically copied into the clipboard so that you can directly paste it. So there is a package called Paperclip. I think we have to install it. So it is already installed, I guess, for normal. But if you are trying to do it for the first time, you have to install it. You will get a red bulb and you can click on install and it will get installed. Now in the Paperclip, using the Paperclip, you can do paperclip.copy. If I do this copy and say what has to be copied, it is password here. It will be copied onto your clipboard. It will be copied. Okay, now let's try to run it. Now if I generate password in our clipboard, don't write anything in the website, we'll paste the password there. If I generate password, the generated password is automatically copied in the clipboard. If I just do Control V, then that password is going to be copied wherever you want. Okay, thank you.